Hey guys, it's Free Tip Friday. Actually, instead of Free Tip Friday, today we're doing what's called Field Trip Friday. Oh, you see what I did there? Same acronym, different title. Oh, I love being funny and smart. So, I am driving out in the boonies to visit a local artisan who is a traditional style Tanto Japanese knife maker. He makes sweet Japanese style knives in a forge out in the boons here. I just don't want to miss the driveway. Where is it here? The guy is a kindred spirit from what I've seen online, so we're gonna go check him out. Here it is. Here's the master himself. This guy's legit. He makes me look like a chump, which you guys probably already think I am, so whatever. Hey, this is Dave Friesen, right?
Yeah.
Dave Friesen, this guy, he's actually been to Japan and knows what he's talking about when he talks about all his Japanese stuff, but check out his knives. This is where the magic happens. Look at the size of this anvil. How many pounds is this thing?
It's 4,500 weight, which is about 506 pounds, I think.
500-pound anvil. Wow.
I don't move it much.
No, I wouldn't think so. So where did you find the design for that airbox?
I haven't found any yet, so I had to study a bunch of antiques online.
Is it a Japanese style?
Yeah, like all Japanese blacksmiths basically use something like this in different sizes. This is the swordsmith size.
Okay. And you make all your own charcoal out of softwood. Is that correct?
Yeah. I have a lot of friends who do woodwork, so we just get their little scraps that are too small to use and turn into charcoal.
Can't really get more legit than that. Like, you not only forge your own knives, you make your own fuel to fuel your forge. It's
kind of nice to be using something that isn't really useful other than for firewood.
Yeah.
Kind of feels like a closed loop. It fits with the rest of what I do, because all of the knife steel is also somebody else's scrap.
How long does it usually take to get it nice and hot for working? Like the steel, like you put it.
Well, the first heat takes a while. This is getting pretty close to forging temperature now.
Oh yeah, that's up there.
Once it's hot, it doesn't take so long in between.
Yeah.
Rounds. Should be good to do a little rough shaping here. This is a harrow tooth, so this is a piece of old farm equipment, and it goes into the soil to break up the clumps after the plow. So it's a really hard wearing steel, but it's pretty simple carbon, which is what I like, just carbon and iron, so it makes a good knife.
So have you tried working like modern steels and you just don't enjoy the process as much, or do you find that it's just better quality to use old steel, or a bit of both? Or
a bit of both. I think for generally using knife, having a simple carbon steel is quite nice, because it's easy to sharpen, but it takes a good edge. There's modern steels that will hold their edge forever, but you could basically never sharpen them. There's so much work to sharpen.
Yeah.
So you can sharpen. If you're into sharpening, you might as well have a steel that sharpens easily and quickly, and just do it often, so that you always have a sharp edge. The other reason I try to find old steel that doesn't have alloy is because I always do the Japanese hardening technique with the clay and the water to give it the hamon.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work well with a lot of modern steels, because the alloy in them makes the whole thing harden, so you basically can't get the temper line.
Oh, okay.
But with this simple steel, you can put it right where you want it. Rough work.
Hammer time. correct me if I'm wrong, this is kind of how I understand working with steel. I picture steel as, you know, like a piece of styrofoam where you have all those little balls that are like stuck together to form like and then, so if that's kind of like the molecular structure of the steel, and then when you heat it up, it kind of loosens those bonds, right? The steel expands and they're kind of like in a malleable state, is that correct? And then that allows you to like hammer it and shape the steel, and then once you're done rough shaping, you quench it in the water, and that like locks all those particles together and forms what's called martensite or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's what's like the really tough cutting edge of the steel.
Yeah, that's a pretty good analogy. The styrofoam balls would probably be crystals of steel.
Yeah, like little crystals.
And so at this temperature, they're reforming. You know, when they can slip past each other, but they also kind of like recrystallize as it cools. So it's,
yeah.
If your hammer is too light, you're going to only be working on the top surface, and it'll mushroom. You can see even with this hammer, it's wider on this side where I was hitting first.
Yeah.
But the smaller the hammer, the more localized its effect, right?
Okay.
Like when you're riveting, if you use the tiniest hammer you can find, because you don't want to expand the rivet stem, you just want to mushroom the head, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Kind of the opposite. No riveting here.
More mass, more movement.
Yeah. So then here's a blade that is finished forging, but it's not hardened and it's not shaped. This is just the finish from the hammer.
Yeah.
So during the last part of the forging, I put water on the anvil and the hammer, just a thin layer, and that keeps the surface pretty smooth. It kind of blows off all this stuff.
That's what the water's for? It prevents scale and that sort of stuff? Okay.
Because
I always wondered that.
When steel is red hot, it compresses, but when scale is red hot, it doesn't.
Yeah.
So if you've got scale on your steel and you hit that with a hammer, the steel's going to lose. The scale won't compress, it'll just go into the surface of the steel. So now you've got to take the whole surface down by the depth of that piece of scale to get it smooth,
stuff.
right?
Okay.
Yeah, so keeping it clean while you forge is a nice way to save a lot of filing.
Keeps it smooth. Okay.
Yeah. So
I always wondered about the water on the anvil.
Yeah, it seems counterproductive because it is cooling things down.
Yeah.
But it's not when you get to the vise with your file. So this is a blade that's been tempered, and you can see the temper line, hopefully.
The hamon.
So the hamon is the division line between martensite at the edge.
Yeah.
And then this is ferrite and perlite, which is tough but not hard. This is hard.
Okay.
But brittle. So that's the goal, is to get the right balance of both in.
So there's another little valve window like this on the other side? So it blows in both directions. That's so sweet.
Yeah.
What's this little setup here? This is where you make your handles? Is that?
No, this is a...
Oh, that's your file.
This is a staple vise. It's called a sendai.
A sendai.
So I just have all kinds of scrap wood here, but the idea is you can clamp knife without having any steel on steel.
Yeah.
So in the normal vise, at a certain point you can't clamp it anymore. You're going to put little divots because it's not hard yet, right?
Yeah.
So your vise will
start to mar it up. Yeah.
So this just, you can wedge this for the taper of the blade, and you can tap this in, which just raises this part against the staple.
Yeah.
The staple is only attached to this bottom.
Okay.
So now you can file and shape, and it's nice because you can see the flats. Whereas with the vise, you can't really clamp a tapered tang.
So I noticed in some of your videos, like, you file really like perpendicular, and you find that what's the cut?
You mean?
Yeah. So the teeth are just like a regular file, but it just cuts smoother, or what's less?
Yeah,
like,
it cuts smoother. So after you're done shaping it,
yeah,
you flip the file this way, so you got it the other way around.
Yeah.
And then you pull towards you.
Oh, okay.
and it's called draw filing, and it's just using the side. I mean, the teeth are still cutting.
Still a bit of an angle. Yeah, it's like a skew almost, right?
But it really lets you like file that whole surface at once.
Yeah.
Whereas with normal filing, you can't, right?
Yeah, you're getting a bit of undulation across the blade, so that just
this shows you
perfect
exactly where you are. Yeah.
So that flattens your bevel really nicely.
Yeah.
You've just got your website up and running, where you can build these, where you can kind of customize your knife, and then you forge it to each guy's specifications. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. There's kind of like 4 basic models, and then you can mix and match with some of the metals and the finish.
So it's stream, field, forest,
and mountain.
Those are all kind of different size blades. It's the utilitarian
fishing,
kind of knife.
Yeah, doing some timber.
You can see the texture from the file still on the blade. It's just slightly been flattened out. And then you were saying that this texture on the scabbard is actual, like it's like a natural lacquer, and the texture comes from tea?
Yeah, it's
tea grains, like straight out of a tea bag.
It's the same materials that they would have been using like 1,000 years ago. So there's no petrochemicals. It's not like a lacquer from a can. It's sap from a specific kind of tree.
So this is the real McCoy here. Wow, look at that artwork on this sheath. So this is all made by hand.
Yeah, this is no power tools involved.
No power tools.
And this is a full-size Japanese Tanto, kind of like 13th century style.
That is a beast. Wow.
So the scabbard is ray skin, and it's lacquered with natural lacquer.
Ray skin?
Yeah, like manta ray or some kind of ray, stingray. Yeah,
like a stingray skin.
Yeah, so it kind of gives you the grip. It's a neat look too, and it gives a lot of strength to the handle too.
That is beautiful. Can I hold it?
Yeah. And these are silver spoons, like Grandma's old silver spoon style, to those 2 washers.
Yeah.
And this is an old copper scrap from electrical bus bar. That's the color from the forging, so that's copper oxide.
Copper oxide.
And the extra steel from polishing the blade gives this lacquer the texture. And that's buffalo horn.
Buffalo horn. Wow, look at the fit there. That's just gorgeous. And then you get the pressure comes from that copper. What's that called again?
It's habaki.
Habaki, the little sleeve that the blade sits in.
So it just starts to engage right at the end there.
Yeah.
So it's
pressure
held
fit in there. Wow. That is just a piece of art.
And I'll find a piece of steel that it was made out of and show you the before.
You just smile every time you look at this thing, don't you?
I do. I'm hoping this one stays
it's like a part of you. It's a part of your soul. Oh man. So this is the material that Dave starts with when he sets out to make a knife, like we just saw, and then he turns all this into that knife. Now that's just art. Even the turkeys are excited about it.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, thanks for hooking me up with some
goodies.
Some steel. Now I got no excuses not to forge a blade of my own. Thanks for showing us the forge. You guys want to check out his website, it's islandblacksmith.ca. I'll leave a link in the description box below. And hopefully we'll come back and do another visit later and maybe get a little teaching on how to do it ourselves. Thanks for your time, Dave.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Good to see you.
Samurai out.